Hello Sumate, you're welcome to another beautiful video tutorial. So we'll be learning how to make this beautiful V-neck bubu dress, but I made mine short. I didn't want a long one, so I made a short one. If you want to know how I did it, let's get started. So this first fabric with me is called plain Daviva. Then this other one should be Adire or Kampala. I really do not know what it is, but I know it is part of the fabric they've been using to make this design. So I saw it and I bought it. So the first thing you need to do is to fold your fabric into two. So it depends on how you want to fold your fabric, but fold it into two according to the length you're working with. So now my fabric is folded into two already. So I'm just going ahead to mark a straight line with my ruler because the edge of the fabric is not straight enough. So this straight line I'm marking now is where my shoulder and the sleeve measurement will be resting on, because the dress is a cut together with sleeve kind of dress. So now after getting the straight line, I will go ahead to use my tape and measure 20 inches from the center front. But at first I mark 7.5 for my normal shoulder measurement. It is not needed, ignore that. So I went ahead to mark 20 inches. That is 7 for the shoulder and the sleeve because it's cut together with sleeve. Then the neck width I use is 3.5. The neck depth for the back is 1 inch because we are cutting the back pattern first. So it is 3.5 stroke 1 inch. Then from that 20 inches we mark, I came down by 10 inches. That will serve as my armhole curve. So you can see I'm still measuring the 20 inches from the center front to make sure that it is straight enough. So I will connect the 10 inches straight that I've just measured for the armhole part. So from this line now, I will get my hip height, which is 23, right? Where my hip circumference will rest on is 23. Then I'll go ahead and impute my hip measurement. A quarter of it is 10 inch. Then the extra allowance I added to it is 5 inch. You know it's a free dress. So altogether that made it 15, right? So I will make a nice curve straight to the 10 inches that is serving as the armhole area. Do you get? So I will just curve it because you don't just want to make it straight. Do you get? It gives you this armhole curve a little bit. Then after that, I will determine the full length of the dress. Now I used 40 as the full length because it's a short dress. Both the hemming allowance and everything I use is 40 inches. So after marking the 40 inches, whatsoever I have on the hip line, I will go ahead and extend it to the hem of the gown. I'm sorry that part didn't show in this video, but I just extended the measurement straight and I reconnected the lines, right? I reconnected the armhole part. So after like this now, the back pattern is done. So the next thing now is just to cut the back pattern out, and after cutting it out, we will use it to cut the front pattern, right? So you can see how simple it is. So now after cutting this back pattern, I will just go ahead, fold our fabric into two, and we will use this back pattern to cut the front pattern. Don't forget that the neck width is 3.5 and the neck depth is 1 inch. That's what I used. The armhole line is 10 inches I came down with. Don't forget. So I folded my fabric. I'll go ahead and place the back pattern on it, then go ahead and cut it out so we can create the front neckline, because like this we've already created the back neckline for the back pattern, right? So we have to create for the front. So instead of me going ahead to retake my measurements and all the rest, I just have to place the fabric on it and cut it out. So you can see what I'm doing. So for the neck part now, for the front, I'll just cut a straight line. I'm not removing the 1 inch. But at that 3.5, I have to notch it. You can see what I'm doing. I went ahead to notch it because it has to be equal. it has to align by the time I want to join the shoulders of the front and back together. So you can see how I'm cutting it off. Then after cutting it off now, we will now go ahead and create the front neckline. If you're new to my channel, I want to say a very big thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and like to see more of my videos. To my returning subscribers, I want to say thank you very much. I really appreciate all of your effort and your support. So now I've gone ahead to cut on the we've gone ahead to cut the front fabric, right? So now let's work on the neckline. Now from the shoulder line, we've notched the 3.5. Now from that shoulder line, I came down by 10 inches. I will mark the 10-inch, then I will go in by 1 inch from the center front, right? So I came down by 10 inch and I went in by 1 inch. So that 1 inch that I marked there now, I will rule a straight line straight to the 3.5 of an inch. Then this part we are going to cut it away. So this is what will give us that V neckline. But you can see that the V is not very sharp. It's not sharp at all, right? Because that is the design we are working with. So the V part is actually giving us something like, is it square? I'll call it, because it's not V exactly at the end of the day. So this is what we have. So for us to get to the next step of the video, I will go ahead and join the shoulders together. Now we'll join the front and back shoulders together. Make sure that you put your fabric right side facing the right side when you are joining the shoulders together. So I will quickly go to the sewing machine and join the shoulders together. Then after joining the shoulders together, we cannot go to the next phase of the video. You can see how I'm arranging everything. So after joining now, we will go to the next step of the video. So I've gone ahead to join the shoulders. You can see my thread, my stitches on it. I've joined the shoulders together. So the next thing now, we have to measure the neckline round from that square part, right? You measure it all round. Just measure it straight down to the other end. So after measuring it, I got 29 inches here, but I went ahead to cut 31 on my fabric. I added extra because most times if you're not careful, it will not be enough. So it's better that it's more than enough than it is not enough. So what I'm doing here now is to get a straight fabric from the plain Daviva now. I have to get a straight fabric that I will use to turn the neckline for that design. So it is 2.5. After folding it into two, I'm having 2.5 because I will use 2 inches to join this fabric to the main dress. Then I will be left with 2 inches for the neckline band, right? So what I want to tell you is, if you don't want yours that big, you can make it smaller, okay? It all depends on you. You can also make it bigger. It depends on what you want, right? So now you can see how I'm measuring it. I'm making sure that it is equal and no part is longer than the other. So after getting the width correctly, I'll go ahead and measure the full length of the band. And like I said earlier, I measured 31 inches and not 29 because it is better that it is too much than it is too small. So after cutting this part of the band away, there is another part that is either square or anyhow you want to design it. So we have to cut that part. So the measurement I use in cutting that part, I just went ahead to get a straight line on the fabric. Then I measured 10 by 10. The width was, I measured 11.5 by 11.5. The width of it was 11.5 and the height of it also was 11.5. So I made both ends equal. Now you can decide to make yours bigger, you can decide to make yours smaller. It all depends on you. You don't have to use the same measurements I'm working with, right? So I'm just going to square it all up, and after squaring it all up, I'll just go ahead and cut it out. And after cutting this first one, I'll go ahead and use it to cut another one because I want to double it. In case you're not doubling your own, you are using a thick fabric, just go ahead and iron 1/2 inch round it. Do you get 1/2 inch that you use to attach it to the main fabric? Just iron it round it so that it will be easy for you to attach it to your fabric. Just fold 1/2 inch inside that you will press on the main fabric. So you can see how I'm cutting it. So after cutting it out now, I will go ahead to create the design I want. If it's V, I want it. If it's U, I want it. Anyhow I want it. So you can decide to just be creative with this part of it. So at the edge of it, I went ahead to just measure like 2.5, rule a straight line, and I cut it off. So this is it, what I did to get the curve. I realized that it was too small. I went ahead to cut extra from it. Then at the other edge too, I went to cut from the other edge too. So I was now having like 2 curve cut from it. So I will go ahead and turn it. Do you get? I will turn it and iron both the long one and this other one together after turning. So this is what we have. I went ahead to cut from the both edge of it, and it's giving me that shape. Do you get? So if you don't want yours like that, you can do it anyhow you want. U, V, anyhow you want it, right? So now we have to attach the band to the neckline. So you will hold the edge of it. You're coming down by 1/2 inch from the main square part. Leave 1/2 inch, then you sew it round it, right? So after sewing it, this is what we have. This is what we have. The front neckline is done like this. Then the excesses I have from the band that we've used to turn the neckline, I will go ahead and trim it away also. So after trimming it away, I will go ahead and place this one on top of it and press it on it. Do you understand? So the first thing you have to do now is to get the center of it, get the midpoint. So I'm just using chalk to mark it. So after marking it now, I will go ahead and get the midpoint of the other part also. It's just to be sure that the placement of this other design we want to place on the collar is in the right position and it doesn't shift by the time we finish sewing it. So after getting the center by marking with my chalk, I will go ahead to place this one, making sure that the both marks we marked is meeting. So I will just go ahead and pin it down. I will pin it all round because after pinning it, I'll take it to the machine and press it. Please make sure you pin so that it can be stable when you're working on it. It will be stable for you to work on. So don't forget to pin it. Just pin it all around. Do a very close pinning so that it doesn't shift or no part of it will be packing. So I'll just go ahead and pin it round, and after pinning it round, I will go to the sewing machine and I will sew it round. Then we can now go to the next step of the video. So you can see I'm taking my time to pin it. Don't forget to also pin your own this way. If you've not subscribed to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and comment. Share your thoughts. What do you think about the video? Share your thoughts. So you can see here that this pattern is actually very small here, but you saw it on my body from the beginning of the video. It's because I placed my camera very high so that at least I can show us a reasonable part of what I'm working on. Do you get? That's why it's really showing this small. It's not small like this. So I've gone ahead to attach it. Now you can see the inside. You can see the stitches on the inside, right? So the next thing now is to fold the fabric back into two using the wrong side. To get the pocket, measure your waistline. From the waistline, come down by 2 inches. So the 2 inches you came down with, that's where your pocket will be starting from. Do you get? That 2 inches you came down with from the waistline, that's where your pocket starts from. Then you just mark it and notch it. Just put your notches. Now the remaining part of it depends on you. You can decide to make your pocket bigger, wider, anyhow you want it. But remember that the standard, your pocket is 2 inches away from your waistline. Your pocket starts 2 inches away from your waistline. Okay, if you're working with a smaller person, you can use 1.5 or 1 inch, right? So now after getting those notches, you spread it up. You bring those parts you've cut for the pocket, you place it on it and you sew it like this. You place it on the other side and you sew it. Make sure that if you're sewing it on the right, you are placing it on the right side facing right side. That's how you sew the pocket and the main garment together. So just go ahead and sew it on both sides. This is what we have. We've attached the pocket part to it. You can see what it looks like. I hope you're not confused at this point. So the next thing, now we have to join it from the armhole opening, from the armhole part. Now you have to run a straight stitch. You stop at that point, you tighten it, you run the pocket round to this point, you tighten it. Then from that place you run it straight down. Do you get? So you do it for both sides, and this is it. I've gone ahead to do that. If you want a very detailed and explanatory video of the pocket, I will drop it on my channel, very well explained for us. So this is it. The gown is ready. Everything is done for the dress. Share your thoughts. What do you think about the video? Was the video helpful? Thank you very much for watching, and see you in my next video.